this new year, 2023. So time waits for no man. And while I'm feeling pretty good and I'm in a great space and in general, I'm happy, I'm a little disturbed. So, once again, we're here talking about a young Black man, and his name is Tyree Nichols, and he's 29 years old. He was a father, he worked at FedEx. He was a geeky skateboarder that loved sunsets like I do and was a great photographer, quite unlike me. But he was 29. He could have been my son. And he was going about his business, driving his car. He was given over 70 commands by the police officers after he was pulled over, most of which he did his best to comply with because all 70 commands pretty much conflicted with one another. But he never made it home. Tyree did not make it home because 5 officers thought it was necessary to bludgeon, kick, and beat him to death. Yep, 149 pounds. I'm 150 pounds. He's 6 feet, 2 inches tall. I'm 5'9", which means I probably have a little more body mass and body weight to throw around than he did. I'm still trying to understand why and how. So let's compound this horrific tragedy with the fact that this young, attractive Black father was murdered by 5 Black fathers. Why? He posed no threat. He was not argumentative. As a matter of fact, he was begging them to recognize that he was being compliant. So this is so upsetting to me because here we go, one more mother wailing, bawling, devastated. This time, a son is involved. So here we go, one more Black family, two families destroyed there because this young man, his son, will never grow up with a dad. And then I think about these 5 cruel, inhumane officers that violated everything about being a police officer, which is to protect and serve. But okay, we're not going to get into it. But that's 5 Black households that's been disrupted, in addition to Tyree's mom's and Tyree's son. I'm not going to get into the politics of this because to me, there is no politics about this. This is not political. Where is the humanity? Now, don't get me wrong, but would it have been better if they had shot him and killed him on the spot? But he suffered for 3 days. He died of cardiac arrest and kidney failure because they had just bludgeoned him. I'm going to leave it there. Who is safe? That's just something I want to put out there. And as we talked among ourselves today, one of the things that I was really jarred by was one of our team members saying, I don't feel safe. I used to think that happened over there and to them, but this happens now everywhere and to all of us. Can we all start caring? That's what we have to say here at The Whole Woman about Tyree Nichols. And we're going to say his name because he's a person. We're going to pray for his mom and his family. And I am going to thank them for being so kind and gracious in the face of such atrocities. God bless them. Let's get on with the business of living life authentically, because for what it is, we need to continue to do what we do and hope we have enough impact so we can short circuit someone else going out and doing something as atrocious as this. Our guest today, ladies and gentlemen, is 30 years of an educator. I don't know. She's the daughter of educators, 30 years as an educator. How apropos, because someone who is going to be impacting the lives of our young children. I like that's who we're talking to. There is hope. She's a life member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and she is a former past president of the Passaic County chapter, Pi Pi Xi Omega, excuse me, that's a grad chapter. Her community service and community and civic service also include being a member of the board of managers for the YMCA of Greater Bergen County. She serves on the PTA for Hackensack Middle School. She's also serving for Hackensack High School. Did I mention she's a mother and wife? She is a member of Jack and Jill of America Bergen Passaic chapter and a member of Bergen County chapter of the Links Incorporated. Ladies and gentlemen, she's a proud member of Community Baptist Church, where she served as leader of the hospitality ministry that I was gracious and happy to serve under her. And she was also the director of the Sunday school ministry. Help me welcome, without further ado, today's guest, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Joy Dorsey Whiting.
Good
Hello.
evening.
Good evening. Good evening. So I'm going to toggle between Dr. Dorsey Whiting because I just believe you've earned your title, and I
Thank
may
you.
slip into Joy because we've been familiar enough that way. So please forgive
Absolutely.
me, but you
No
have earned
forgiveness needed.
that title. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. So glad to be here.
Awesome. So, Dr. Dorsey, how do you end up 30? You don't even look like you're 30. So I'm a little confused on the 30 years of being an educator. And being the daughter of educators. Give us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you're from, and really what went into the making of the cookies and cream that we see of you.
Well, I'm a very proud product of Jersey City, New Jersey. Whoop whoop for Jersey City, and just very proud to be the daughter, the third youngest child of educators. My mother was an early childhood educator. My father was a high school special education teacher.
Mm.
And our house was a loving home. We learned how to just work together and be committed to each other. A very spiritual home, grew up in church. And my parents really just taught us life lessons about being real, true to ourselves, to our community, loving on each other, making family first. My mother would always say, charity starts at home and spreads abroad. And those are just the life lessons that I learned. I grew up in Jersey City and stayed there all of my life. Grew up in the same house. I did not move homes. I lived in the same house my entire childhood until I went to college. So I had a wonderful childhood in Jersey City, jumping double dutch, playing hopscotch, and all those other good things that we did.
That sounds so fun and wholesome. So it says you're the third child, but how many siblings do you have totally?
Well, I have an older brother who's 13 years older than me, and I have a
Mm.
sister who's 9. So they jokingly say that my name should have been Surprise instead of Joy. But so my brother's name is Joseph, my sister's name is Jill. They both live in North Carolina, as my mother does as well. But I was the youngest, so I was the third child. But sometimes I felt like the only child because there was such a great difference between
Yep.
my brother, my sister, and myself.
So tell me about young Joy running around double dutching in
Hmm.
Jersey City with these older siblings. And I get that because I have so many older siblings,
Hmm.
and boy, they sometimes treat you like a doll. And then it feels like you have three sets of parents, but that's another
Exactly
story.
right. And that you're getting on their nerves and all those other good things.
Tell me what it was like. Tell me
Well,
about your.
I'm sorry.
Now, tell us about young Joy. What were your interests? What was your fun thing to do other as along with double dutching?
Well, I was a curious child. My mother would probably say that I had a lot of curiosity and a lot of mouth, but that has helped me as an adult. My brother was older, so he was 13 years older than me. So it was really my sister and my dad and my mom in the house. And my sister Jill was amazing to me as a big sister. She would let me go with her on dates, and her boyfriends would kind of bribe me a little bit to make sure that I was a good little sister. And then it was just great. My mom and I, we did shopping. I wasn't an athlete. I was kind of a bookworm, loved to read, took piano lessons, took vocal music lessons, even though I'm not a singer, but I love music and just enjoyed being around my family, doing church activities, Girl Scouting, all those things. My parents kept me very, very involved because they were older parents and they probably figured keep her busy so that she can stay out of our hair. And
I love
out
it.
of being the little joy that I was.
So Joy, absolutely named, I must say.
Oh, thank
Being
you.
a bookworm, what was your favorite interest? What was your favorite subject? What really got you wound up or excited? What got your attention?
That's really I loved writing and reading, and that really has helped me later in life. I didn't realize I used to write poetry, and when I was little and my mother would do her lesson plans at the kitchen table on Sundays, I would have my pretend lesson plan book next to me, writing my own lesson plans for my pretend students. And then I went to college and became an English major. Little did I know that that would have an effect on me or be such a ground maker for me as a young collegian. But I loved my favorite book was Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret by Judy Blume, because it talked about like growing up and how you would be a young girl and all the changes you would go through. So I loved that book, and I just loved reading novels about mystery and all the things that I had interested in or wanted to do as I got older.
So you mentioned going off to college and being an
Yeah.
English major. Where did you end up going off to school?
I went to the one and only Hampton University. I know all the Howard people are going to say the real HU, but I went to Hampton University and so proud to be a graduate of Hampton University. I enjoyed every single moment of my college years there.
Wonderful. So you went off to Hampton University, the bookworm, double Dutcher, and interested in your favorite book being God, Are You There? But tell me about some of the things you got involved with while at Hampton University.
Well, at Hampton, let me just tell you the story. So, my sister is also a Hampton University graduate. And on my
Uh-huh.
spring breaks, my parents would send me to Hampton. I was, she's 9 years older than me. So, I was hanging out on campus. I was in the dorms. My sister was a resident assistant. So, I got the chance to buzz company in to the rooms. So, I was really a Hamptonian before I was a Hamptonian. And so, then when I got to Hampton, I joined clubs and organizations. My freshman year, I was on the homecoming court, and that was exciting. And then I joined Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated my junior year, and
Mm.
which led me to such phenomenal experiences and friendships that I have to this day, and have been active since 1992. And then my senior year, I was Miss Hampton University for the 1992-93 school year, which was the 125th anniversary of the school. A very exciting time.
Oh,
And my parents, my church came. Oh, yeah, that's a picture.
oh, look
My
at
church
you.
came on buses down to see me. My father was so excited, and it was a really great time for me. And see, I'm dating myself with that flip-de do. Oh gosh, in the black and white
Won't tell us
picture.
so. Won't tell us so. Didn't see anything, but it's great because I see all your sorors popping in, chatting, chiming
Ah,
in, and everybody saying hello and talking about that being one of their favorite books as well. That's pretty exciting. So,
it is.
Miss Hampton, and you were an English major,
Yes.
very involved. Okay, so as an Alpha Kappa Alpha woman, what were some of the things you found yourself exposed to that really caused or shaped you or influenced who you are today?
The community service. We were young collegians on campus, and now don't get me wrong, there was a lot of fun and a lot of good times, and traveling to all the step shows and Greek picnics in Philly and Atlanta, but really the community service and the sisterhood and the
Mm.
camaraderie that we established as 20 somethings, just trying to figure the world out with your friends, and just becoming who you were as a young woman. I couldn't have thought of a better place to do it than at Hampton with the 49 other women that I joined the organization with at that time. And it was such an amazing and wonderful experience to be at Hampton, to be part of such a rich legacy, and to know that those relationships that I had then, now 31 years as being a member of the organization, have carried me through and are still relationships that I have to this day. And glad we share the same organization now.
We certainly do. I'm definitely not 31 years, but proudly a neophyte. So Dr.
All good,
Dorsey,
all good.
it's okay, just a few more months to go. So, Dr. Dorsey, um, as you graduated from Hampton University as an
Mhm,
English major. Tell me about your career trajectory, because we know where you are today as Dr.
mhm.
Dorsey. How did you get there? And were you always wanting to be an educator?
So, Natalie, really, the story is quite funny because originally I wanted to be a doctor. And now I am, but not a medical doctor. But I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a pediatrician. And in high school, we took a trip to Rutgers University Medical School, UMDMJ, because I was from Jersey City and that was in Newark. We took a trip and they let us into the room with the cadavers, which looked like a room full of smoked meat. After that, I said, this is not for me. I got sick. I fainted right there. They took me
Oh,
out as a high school student. And I said, no, being going to medical school is not for me. And I went to Hampton as an English major, became an education major. And I suppose education is just in my DNA with my parents, my aunts, uncles, all being educators. And so it has been a wonderful experience for me. uh, I started in, I left Hampton and actually lived in Pittsburgh for a year. I taught there. The Pittsburgh public schools were looking to um, find more African American staff for their schools. And so uh, I was then recruited by Pittsburgh Public Schools, and I lived there for a year. And that was a great experience for me being right out of college. I learned a lot. My mother taught me how to cook over the phone, being solo. And then I moved back to Hackensack and I started working at Fairmount Elementary School. And then I was there for quite some time, never thinking that I wanted to go into administration. And my principal at the time, her name was Ann Small. She was always saying to me, "Are you interested?" I would say no. She sent me to an aspiring leaders workshop. And so that story always leads me to believe that there are people that see something in you that sometimes you don't see in yourself.
yep.
And Anne was very instrumental in that. I met a very dear friend of mine, Lillian Whitaker. We taught together at Fairmount. Moved to the 5-6 school at the time as a teacher. And then when my son was just born, I had the opportunity of becoming the assistant principal back at Fairmount School. And at that
Okay,
time, I
so
was mhm,
I'm going to stop you there and I'm going to take you back a little bit because now you've
okay,
mentioned the son, which means there's a love interest somewhere in the midst.
absolutely, absolutely.
You got to get us caught up on how you became wife mother.
Yes, yes, yes. So I met my husband while working at Fairmount School. And we started out as friends and our friend group just grew, and it really wasn't a romantic interest in the beginning. And he was my confidant. He was someone that I talked to about other people that I was dating, but he always asked these really interesting questions about how he could get to know me. Little did I know he was getting all that intel for himself. And we met at the school. We became friends. Another dear friend of ours shared that he was interested in dating me. And I said, "Oh, no, we're just friends." So now, almost 22 years later, we're married with two beautiful children. But Gordon Scooter
Just
Whiting,
friends.
just friends, just friends. A wonderful man, a wonderful husband, a lot of my life, and such a great inspiration to me. Yes.
That is wonderful, Joy. So that's been 22 years now that
Yeah, it'll be 22 years in
you
June.
met
Yes.
Gordon. And tell me about your beautiful children. Wow, handsome and beautiful. Look at them. They have
Thank
grown
you.
so much.
I know you
Those are
remember
not
when they were
the
little,
children
right?
I remember.
I know. So Curtis is our son. He's 19. He is studying at Sacred Heart University, and not many people know this, but he just told his father and I that he wants to go into education, which we were
Oh
really
wow,
surprised about, but happy. He has a servant's heart, and so he's at Sacred Heart University in Connecticut on a
wonderful.
full athletic and academic scholarship, doing really well. And glad that he's there and living his life authentically, as you would say. And our beautiful daughter, Camille, Her name is Camille Joy. I said, if men can do it, so can I. So I gave her my first name as her middle name. And
Aw.
Camille is 15. She's a sophomore, a scholar athlete at Hackensack High School. She's an
Mhm.
amazing young woman with such a pure heart, and really is the core to our family. She makes sure we honor all traditions, and she's really a great young lady. About to be 16, so very happy and excited about that.
That is exciting, Joy. I remember the little kids running around the church. I
I
cannot
know.
I can't reconcile who I'm looking at on the
I
screen. It's
know.
like, oh my
Me
goodness, they're
either sometimes. Me
beautiful.
either.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. So, Joy, talk with me about, okay, so you become the assistant principal back over at Fairlawn.
Fairmount.
Let's
Hmm.
Fairmont, excuse me. Let's talk a little bit more about how you became the principal and what made you decide to continue your education and to become to get your PhD in
Okay.
education.
So so my I was at Fairmount School as an assistant principal, and then I became the principal where I am now. But at that time, it was the 5-6 school with only 600 students. And
Mhm.
then for the last 11 years before going to Hackensack Middle School, I was at Fannie Meyer Hiller School, which is really where I earned my wings to be a school leader, and loved my 11 years that I spent at Hiller School. And those times will always be near and dear to my heart at Hiller's. But in July, I became the principal of Hackensack Middle School.
Mm.
And that school now has 1,400 students, and I'm really blessed to lead and serve there at Hackensack Middle School. But my journey to getting my doctorate in education started as a promise I made to my parents many years ago. And my father's sister, Dr. Catherine Joan Dorsey Gaines, was very instrumental in that. And I promised my father before he passed away, which was in 2001, that I would get my doctorate. And so my goal was to get it. And then time had gone by, and my children, become a wife and mother, and you spend your time on your children. And then I wanted to have my doctorate before I turned 50, and wanted to graduate with my son. And so I pushed
Mm.
through and was able to do that, and was able to bring the promise I made to my father to fruition, and to my parents. And so the greatest joy for me was being able to participate in graduation and have my mom there to
Oh,
watch and to witness that. And it was a very emotional moment for me. When I think about it, my heart still just flutters, because it's a blessing that she's here and that she was able to see me accomplish that. And it's an honor to her. And that's why I still carry the Dorsey name, because it means the world to me to be able to do that for my parents.
that is wonderful. Dr. Dorsey, at the top of the show, I talked about the heinous crime that was committed against this wonderful
Hmm.
young man and what went into the making of these men that they would do such a thing. And then
Hmm.
we also see where a few weeks ago, a 6-year-old brought
Hmm.
a weapon to school and hurt his teacher. And I think about how educators must feel knowing that they are no longer entering what we used to think of as the safest workplace in America,
Yeah.
which is schools. How are you reconciling all this discontent and all the upheaval and the challenges our children are facing and the strain and stress on you teachers?
Natalie, it is every day, and educators, I'm sure, who are listening or will see this, and if you're leading a school or a school community, you go into school, and I know that they say there isn't any prayer in school, but I pray every day before I get into school, because I'm responsible for 1,400 students and about almost 200 staff members. And you just pray that all will be well, and that your school will be safe, and that if all is not well and all is not safe, that you have the fortitude to do what you need to do to get the job done and to make sure that everyone is safe. When I saw the beating of that young man the other day, at first I wasn't going to watch it, because I didn't know if I could take it. And someone wrote a post the other day about, when you have a Black son, you pray differently. And
Mm.
so I thought about my son being in college, and my pain. And then I mentioned to my friend earlier, I said, I feel for those officers, their parents, because they didn't raise them to
Mhm.
be that way. And so we don't know what happened. It's just such a tragic, tragic situation
All
when
the
you
way around.
think about uh, all the other things that as a community that we have to deal with, and to have to deal with this is just something that's unfathomable. But we just need to get the word out, about all types of silence, and about proper protection of our young people, about officers being trained in the right way, and just praying that it doesn't happen again. And if it I just hope it doesn't happen again, but it's just already happened too many times already. It makes me sad. It makes me sad, that we think that these horrible things happen in 2023. When you see
How are
that, you think it would be some time far away.
how are you taking steps to probably recognize discontent or trouble in your students to
Mhm.
be preemptive, and what tools do you have to intervene early, because so much of our society causes us to wait for there to be a crisis before we can
Yeah.
take action.
Well, we always try, my colleagues and I, to be proactive and not reactive. And what does that mean as a school leader? That means that you are present in your building. You're not in your office. You're walking the halls. You're talking to children so that you have a pulse on what's happening in your school, and your
Mm.
students and your family members know that you can be trusted. And children tell you things, and they'll come to your office and they'll let you know what is happening in your school. And so we have a social and emotional component. We have two phenomenal social workers in our school that are there for our students. I am grateful to have the opportunity to work with four assistant principals, one for every grade level. So we have a really good pulse on what's happening in our school. And that doesn't mean that things don't fall through the cracks. It just
Mhm.
means that if something does happen, we're aware and we're acting on it right away, because parents are trusting us to do what's right for their children while they're in our care. And so we don't take that lightly at all.
Wow. What's on tap for 2023 for Dr. Joy Dorsey Whiting? What are you looking forward to this year?
I am looking forward to continuing to bloom where I've been planted. At Hackensack Middle School, it's my first year there. We're doing some great work, and there's a lot of great work to be done. But I'm looking forward to doing that personally. I'm looking forward to continue to take care of myself better, self care. And this is a big secret, Natalie. I'd like to run a 5K. It's on
Ah,
my vision board. So that's what I'm looking forward to 2023. So if there's
top
anybody out there that
secret.
wants to go with me, I'm there.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And
Let's
so
do
that's
it.
the one thing I haven't done on my vision board, and just really living in the moment, appreciating my family, doing the best I can, and just trying to continue to be true to myself and the charge that I've been given at Hackensack Middle School.
Well, wonderful, Joy. One of the things in your bio says you affectionately refer to your family as your heartbeats because
Mhm.
they give you life and inspiration to grow and glow. And I can tell you, I have never seen you without your glow as you're growing and going about your business. Thank you so much for sitting with us. And we can tell how revered and loved you are by so many, by the number of people that we know mutually that are giving feedback, and the
Oh,
way
Lord.
you always are about your students. That is consistent. We see it year after year, and we wish you absolute success and stay safe. Be
Thank you
safe.
so much. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. My sorrow, my church sister. That's right. We
That's
belong to the
right.
same church. Okay. Don't get it mixed. Don't get it twisted. Dr.
Okay.
Joy Dorsey Whiting, such a pleasure. And I saw that Scooter chimed in. So
Oh, he did.
Joy
Oh,
good.
okay.
Joy good. He says,
My
that's my
number one
baby.
fan.
Thank you so much for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have so much to share, so much to tell. I am itching to tell you what's on tap for all this year's activities, but mark your calendar because March 26th 2023, Sunday at noon, will be Women Honoring Women. And I am so close to telling you who our honorees will be, but I'm going to tell everybody out in the world watching, especially those of you who hold pink and green dear to your heart, you want to stick around because you want to know who our honorees are. And if you care about healthcare in the state of New Jersey, if you care about healthcare, for our minority community, absolutely stay tuned because tomorrow, February 1st, newsletter gets released. We'll be telling you who our honorees will be. That will be on Wednesday, February 1st. So I'll just get my days straight because it's January with 31 days, right, Teach?
That's right.
So remember, go online, check out TWW, the whole woman / Lady Mist. Hand sanitize. Don't forget to sanitize. COVID is real. The flu is
Yes,
still there.
ma'am.
RSV lives among us. And after you sanitize, be sure to get your moisturizer. It's the Lady Mist collection. It is created by us over here at The Whole Woman in partnership with amazing people like Tiffany Rose over at School Sense, who created our amazing candle. Also, we're working with Cedar Lewis over at Miracle Buttercream for the amazing body butter. And of course, my favorite of all, no favorites, I'll be polite, but my also sorrow is Shawanda Vickers over at Shoe for our hand sanitizer. I'm Natalie B. McKenzie, and I am the whole woman. I wish you enough life to live, enough joy to give, enough love